Welcome back to Twin Football. It is Wednesday, September 25th, and I am back. I know you missed me for the Premier League picks last weekend, but I am back here. Jacob is here because we have NFL picks week 4. Jacob's rocking the Ravens jersey after that great win against Dallas. We're going to go through all of the picks one by one, starting with Dallas taking on New York on Thursday night after the Giants' great win against Cleveland. The Cowboys only played one quarter, it seemed like, against Baltimore, 19 in the fourth quarter. But I think they're going to be a little bit better against the Giants. Malik Neighbors has just been a monster to start the season, but I like the Cowboys to get a win on Thursday Night Football. They've only lost one of their last 14 against the G-Men. I think CeeDee Lamb, after he came out and said that, hey, I didn't have a great game, bounces back, and they get the win in that one.
Yeah, next up we got the Saints taking on the Falcons. Saints coming off their first loss, a close loss to the Eagles. Derek Carr had a tough interception at the end where I don't really think he necessarily made a bad throw. Him and Rashid Shaheed were just not on the same page. Shaheed could have turned his head a little bit quicker, in my opinion. They just weren't on the same page. Carr had difficulty against the Eagles secondary that really just let Kirk Cousins just walk all over them, especially towards the end of that game. So, Kirk, you like that? Cousins needs to teach Derek Carr how to run a 2-minute drill, I guess. Kamara continues to get that huge workload. He touched the ball 29 times last week. Their defense did hold the Eagles scoreless for the first 3 quarters, kind of like last year. Defense was really strong, but their offense was inconsistent. So Saints fans will be having PTSD again. You know, they're so up and down. Their offense looks so good on paper, but sometimes they just have bad games, and they didn't have a great one last week. Falcons coming off the loss against the Chiefs. I have no idea how the refs missed that PI call on 3rd and 5 in the end zone. It honestly was another call that just pretty much by itself won the Chiefs that game. That if that touchdown, I mean, they're on the 1-yard line. They just hand it to Bijan a couple times, and they probably score after the PI call. The Falcons do have 2 big injuries they're dealing with on the offensive line, which is going to really hurt Bijan Robinson. And for that reason, I'm going Saints to win this one in a close one.
Ooh, Saints bounce back. A lot of great divisional matchups this week. We got an NFC matchup here as the Rams will travel to Chicago. A little bit of rain expected. Can the Bears get another win? They've been leaning on that defense because Caleb Williams keeps throwing interceptions. He gets pressured so much, 14 sacks in 3 games. He keeps turning the ball over. And I don't know if that offense can ever get clicking. When the whole point of the preseason and leading up to the season, everyone was saying, hey, they have the weapons. This is a different situation for a number 1 overall pick than we've seen in the past, a 7-win team. But they just haven't been able to get that offense clicking. And the major reason is that offensive line is garbage. Absolute garbage. I thought for sure against the worst run defense in the NFL that they were going to have a good run performance, and they couldn't do anything last week against the Colts. Going against Sean McVay and that Rams offense and defense, I'm actually going to roll with the Rams in Chicago due to the run game and the little bit of rain expected in Chicago on Sunday.
Next up, we got a super exciting NFC divisional matchup. Vikings taking on the Packers. I'm super excited for this game. Vikings coming off another big win against a solid Texans team. It was pretty much a perfect game, offense, defense. Even the fans were doing their job. 11 penalties against the Texans. Aaron Jones just looks amazing. Sam Darnold, 4 touchdowns last week. Justin Jefferson, another touchdown. Defense had 5 sacks and 2 interceptions. They held a good Texans 3rd down offense to just 4 for 14. Just on all cylinders are firing for the Vikings. Packers coming off another win against a bad Titans team. Malik Willis is somehow 2-0. He hasn't played a team with any wins, but he's still 2-0. So good for him. He had 200 yards passing, 70 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. His rushing ability is honestly super impressive. I'm not that impressed by his passing ability, but he still had 200 yards. The defense is the unsung hero of the last couple wins. It looks like Jordan Love is still limited in practice, but it looks like he is going to go on Sunday, and that will be a huge plus for the Packers. I think he's going to be a little rusty, and this Vikings team is flying. I can't pick against them. I'm going Vikings here.
Vikings 4-0, and we need to bring back the skull clap every single game. 4-0, undefeated to start the season for the Vikings. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the only team allowing less points per game than Minnesota this year, as they travel to Indianapolis in a revenge type of game after getting blown out last year in Indy. The Steelers, obviously, they're going to run the ball. They want to run the ball. They won the run matchup with the Chargers last week. I think they will run again against the Colts. Justin Fields just needs to be able to make those key plays. They haven't been scoring much, but really 16 points is all you need when that defense and TJ Watt are clicking. The Colts seem to have the answer against TJ Watt last year. Trey Sermon rushing for 5 yards per carry against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense last year. Jonathan Taylor didn't even play in that game, and we know what he can do. But right now, with Anthony Richardson having 6 turnovers, I think 5 in the last 2 games, you put that Steelers offense on a short field, you get turnovers, you let TJ Watt come after you. It's going to be a long day. So Steelers, Vikings 4-0 to start the season. I don't know that we ever
no one guessed
thought that would have happened. Bo Nix getting his first win, taking on the Jets. Who do you got in this one?
Broncos going to New Jersey to take on the Jets. Yeah, Broncos coming off their first win of the season against the Buccaneers. Their defense managed 7 sacks, absolutely massive. They made Baker completely ruin his hot streak. Bo Nix, first game without any interception, so we're not allowed to call him his nickname for this week. Next week, we'll have that chance, though. Against a good Jets defense. I'm looking him to return to his rookie ways, and he's going to throw a couple picks here. Jets coming off a solid win against a really bad Patriots team, but everything seems to be clicking. Aaron Rodgers is looking more comfortable in that Jets uniform. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Lazard are all looking super solid. I got nothing but Jets in this one.
Yes, Jets roll on the played Thursday night, so they got 10 days to prepare for that one in Hackett's revenge game against the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. The Eagles looking for revenge when they go to Tampa to take on the Bucs after getting blown out to end their playoff season last year. Baker Mayfield and the bunch really passed straight through the Philadelphia Eagles defense that just fell apart to the end of last season. And this game for me is probably the hardest game to call on a Wednesday before the week because of the amount of injuries. Tampa Bay on defense, Antoine Winfield Jr., Vita Vea, how are they going to be going into the weekend? On the Eagles offensive side, we already know the issues with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith concussion, Lane Johnson left at halftime, concussion. In 1 week timetable, usually they're able to go after that 1 week mark, but that is usually the minimum when it comes to concussions. We've seen now Tua and people getting concussions taking a little bit extra time to rebound. You really don't want to come back too early. Sadly, you and I both know what happens when you come back too early from a concussion and, you get a little bit more susceptible to another concussion. Obviously, those guys are going to, Lane Johnson, Devontae Smith are key pieces of that offense. They're going to want to be careful with them. So definitely the most difficult game, I think, to call with the Wednesday, because I think if those injuries sort themselves out and one side plays and the other side doesn't play, I think it could tilt it. Only a 1-point favorite for the Eagles on the books this week as of Wednesday. And I think the reason why is Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, 65-yard touchdown, second half against the Saints. They really pulled away there or really got it going in the fourth quarter to get that win. I think even without Lane Johnson there in that second half. And I think the Eagles with Saquon Barkley added dimension that Tampa Bay was not used to last year in dealing with. So give me Philadelphia in a revenge game to get the win in Tampa this weekend.
Next up, we got the Bengals taking on the Panthers. The Bengals coming off a devastating loss to the Commanders that no one expected to see. Their defense made Jaden Daniels look like the MVP of the entire league. He had a really good game, but did the defense make him look good? Yeah, maybe Rookie of the Year, not MVP. T. Higgins was back for his first game this season off an injury. Looks a little rusty, but the Bengals have got to be happy that he's back. No one happier than Jamar Chase getting his first touchdown. T. Higgins on the field just opens up so much space for him. That 1-2 combo, I've said this before, but in my opinion, best 1-2 receiver combo in the league. I'm super excited to watch them again. Panthers coming off a huge first win of the season against the Raiders. They did a better job establishing the run game. I think that really helped the quarterback and Andy Dalton. But, when the defense actually has to respect your passing ability, it's easier to establish the run. They work off each other so much. So, Bryce Young stock is in shambles right now. Everyone was sticking up for him. You love to see it, but it really does kind of look after that game that it was kind of all on Bryce Young. It has to be said. I feel sorry for the guy, but yeah, Andy Dalton just made that team look completely different. The Raiders are in a bad spot. But still, I don't see the Panthers winning that game if Bryce Young is playing. Adam Thielen placed on IR after that touchdown grab. He came off with a hamstring injury. It's really sad to see the 34-year-old go off injured. Yeah, we'll see if he can manage a comeback. Bengals are in a tough spot. They desperately need this win. Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor right after the game went and had a conversation about just that, and I think in desperation they pull off the win, but you never know in this league.
Yeah, that was one of the saddest things I've seen, was watching Bryce Young at the end of that game high five every single person coming off of the field. He had to watch his team win without him. Oh man, poor guy. Trevor Lawrence has been watching the other team win for 8 consecutive games now, as they have lost the 5 to the end last year and blow the division lead, and the 3 to start this year. They take on the division rival, the Houston Texans, looking to rebound after only putting up 7 points there in Minnesota. It's in the Dome in Texas. I can't see anything but a bounce back game. That offense, we know all the weapons: Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins. It's just going to be too much. If you're able to stop Travis Etienne, whether that's out of the little dump down screen game or just running the football, you really basically can silence the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Houston will be able to do that, and the weapons will be a little bit too much there. Give me Houston at home.
Next up, we got a super interesting matchup with that Commanders' big win against the Bengals. A tough one to call here. Jaden Daniels just played out of his mind, and he's going to be Rookie of the Year. I'm calling it right now, as lots of other people are. Not breaking news or anything. A lot of people see it after that game. But why I know he's going to be Rookie of the Year is because that 3rd and 7 with a little over 2 minutes left, the Bengals were rolling. Joe Burrow looks like he's going to mount a comeback. And it's 3rd and 7. They're on the 30-yard line for the Bengals. It looks like they're going to be forced to kick a field goal, and then the Bengals are within 8 points. It's a 1-score game. People are still betting on the Bengals at this point. 2 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Jaden Daniels has a tackle in his face, and he just skies it to McLaurin, and they get the game-winning touchdown. Oh, I can't believe he made that play. Highlight of the weekend for sure. Jaden Daniels looks so good. CJ Stroud really spoiled us last year, and I think people are forgetting how rare it is to see a rookie quarterback play the way Jaden Daniels did the other day. And yeah, it's so much fun to watch. Cardinals coming off a tough loss against the Lions. I really think they're Kyler Murray, after not throwing to him enough, is forcing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. a little too much. 22 targets, only 10 receptions. when you got a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. who can put up with double teams and he's just such a large athlete, I see it's enticing to just throw it up to him, but I think they're forcing a little too much. I like Cardinals here to bounce back. Commanders, if Jaden Daniels plays the way he did against the Bengals, I could easily see them winning this game. I don't think the Cardinals defense are as bad as the Bengals defense, and I like the Cardinals to take this one.
Yeah, what a great race this is set up to be for offensive rookie of the year between Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, double coverage against the Browns. That doesn't matter. Just throw it up. Marvin Harrison getting way more integrated. We've seen a 3 touchdown performance from him already. It was just, absolutely insane for a rookie, and that's going to keep building. And I agree. I think Marvin Harrison will have something to say about it in this game, but maybe that's it. Maybe that's the pick. You always got to pick. Just go for who everyone thinks is the second best quarterback in the draft, and just go with him.
That's the new trend.
The new trend. A little bit less pressure, and can do well. Brock Purdy. Going to be on have a little bit of pressure. He looks like he's going to be healthy enough to play this game against the Patriots. 1-2, definitely not the start San Francisco wants. CMC is enjoying Oktoberfest there in Germany. It seems like we don't know when he's going to come back. After seeing a specialist for some special treatment there, that's more favorable in Germany. But I think it's still going to be too much for New England. I think at home, I like San Francisco in this one.
Yeah, next up we got the Browns taking on the Raiders in what is going to be an abysmal game of football. Browns coming off a loss against the Giants. The first play of the game, they recover a fumble off the opening kickoff. Second play of the game, first from scrimmage, they throw a touchdown to Amari Cooper, and then they proceed. After the best start imaginable to a football game, they proceed to lose a game of football to Daniel Jones. They let up
Browns.
8. They let up 8. Yeah, the most Browns thing I've ever seen. They let up 8 sacks in the game, and now they're going to play Max Crosby, who is just an absolute animal. They might let up 8 sacks again. I wouldn't doubt it. Raiders coming off a loss against it's not Bryce, it's all of us, and hopefully for the Raiders, hopefully. It was just Bryce, because if it was some of the Panthers and the Raiders looked that bad, then they're in some serious trouble. Gardner Minshew with an interception each game of the season so far. He got pulled off late. I think they're still going to start with him. They're really struggling running the ball. They definitely miss Josh Jacobs. Again, this is going to be just an ugly game of football, and I like Raiders here slightly, but this is a tough one to call.
Yeah, I agree. I think for sure coming down to the turnovers, as both teams kind of rely on them a little bit to get the offense going. No turnovers needed for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Yes, maybe they should have been in a closer game against Atlanta with that touchdown possibly happening with 4 minutes to go. We don't know what would have happened to the rest of the game. Yes, that questionable PI call against the Bengals late in that game would have ended the Chiefs drive and ended the game. And yes, Isaiah Likely wearing 2 big cleats in the first home opener. But, they just win. The Chiefs, they just win games. And they haven't lost to the Chargers in 6 games. So it's going to be 7. Just give me the Chargers there. We saw the San Francisco San Francisco in LA against the Rams, and we've seen it many times with the Chargers. There isn't a solid fan base there in LA at the moment. Chiefs fans are going to travel well. It's going to be kind of like a mixed crowd there. I think they're going to be okay. The Chargers want to run the football. Chris Jones, not going to let that happen. Give me the Chiefs there away from home.
Next up, we got the most exciting matchup of the week, in my opinion. We got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. The Bills coming off an demolition win against the Jaguars. Josh Allen is everybody's early MVP pick. He's got 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Who is this guy? He's not throwing any picks. He's totally figured it out. Seemingly, he hasn't
Just
had a
don't throw the ball.
Yeah, just keep running the ball, and it'll just get touchdowns for free. He hasn't had a passer rating under 100 all season. He's 6-1 on Sunday Night Football. Josh Allen loves the spotlight. Joe Brady, the new offensive coordinator who took over mid last year, deserves a lot of credit for turning this offense around. He's been amazing for the Bills offense, mostly helping in establishing the rushing attack, as we said. But this week, up against arguably the best rush defense in the entire league, they're averaging just under 3 yards per carry. The Bills have 100 plus yards in each game running, and the Ravens have only allowed 50 yards. So it's going to be an interesting duel here. I really think that the Bills are going to struggle up against such a strong rush defense, and Josh Allen is going to have to force the ball like he did last year. And I've got Josh Allen throwing his first interception of the season against the Ravens. Ravens coming off that win against the Cowboys. King Henry with his best game in a purple shirt. Adam needs some credit for that call. He should be up in the booth for John Harbaugh after telling him to use Derrick Henry more. Yeah, Lamar Jackson needs to learn how to close games better. The amount of times you just see that offense just forget how to play in the fourth quarter when they have a substantial lead. It's his biggest weakness in the regular season. Obviously, he's got playoff woes altogether, but in the regular season, he's lost so many late games, and he almost lost that game against the Cowboys. They almost mounted that comeback, but solid win. Fair play to the Ravens. I really think their rush defense will be the hero of this game, and I like Ravens here, but I can't wait for this game. I can see it going either way, but I like Ravens.
Yeah, what a game that will be on Sunday Night Football. Monday night brings Tennessee to Miami, and this one kind of similar. Well, not really kind of similar, but like injuries have plagued Miami this year. So similar to, I was going to say similar to the Tampa Bay Philadelphia game. Skylar Thompson hurt his ribs against Seattle. Boyle comes in, does pretty well there. So we'll see, is Boyle going to get the start, or is Tyler Huntley going to get the start this weekend? He joined from the Ravens last week. Definitely going to give you a little bit more in the run game. Will Levis on the other side just likes to throw it to the other team. 2 pick sixes already. I think Jalen Ramsey is just going to watch the film and get ready his touchdown celebration. I'm booking it. Jalen Ramsey, pick 6. You got Josh Allen throwing a pick. I got Jalen Ramsey with a pick 6 guaranteed. Dolphins at home with a 7-point lead. Tyler Huntley just needs to do, I hope he starts. So if he starts and Mike McDaniels can tell him, hey, we just need you to get the ball out quick. That offense works way better when they get the ball out quick. Tua usually around 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds in terms of snap to time of release. That's when the offense is clicking. Get the ball to the skill players. Tyler Huntley is used to a slower pace with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson and him closer to the 3-second mark. If Mike McDaniels can get his hands on him and say, hey, we need you to run when you need to, but get the ball out quick. Otherwise, Malik Willis had a huge success in running and extending plays last week against Tennessee. I think Tyler Huntley can do that. If he gets the ball out quick, I like Miami in this one. But if he does not, or if Boyle gets the start, I think Boyle 0-5 in starts in his NFL career. He looked good at the end of the Seattle game, but I think there's just, over a course of a full game, he's going to make too many mistakes. And I think Tennessee, itching to get their first win, will capitalize on that. So if Tyler Huntley starts and he can do that, where he gets the ball out quick to his skill players, I like Miami to win, and Jalen Ramsey book that pick 6. And the last game on Monday night is the Seattle Seahawks with that win, and 3-0 traveling to Detroit, where it is going to be loud.
Seahawks coming off a win against Skylar Thompson's Dolphins. I had to qualify that. They're 3-0, but this is really their first real test. They're undefeated through 3 games. Any team would take that. That's amazing. They just played what's in front of them, but they haven't been tested, in my opinion. Geno Smith completed passes to 8 unique receivers last week, 10 if you count the 2 interceptions to the other team. DK Metcalf, another solid game. It looks like Kenneth Walker III might be available after missing his last 2 games with an oblique injury, but Zach Charbonnet had a great game last week, so I don't think they're so anxious for him to come back. The Lions coming off a critical win against the Cardinals. Their ability to just control the time of possession in their games with their 2 awesome running backs in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is just such a powerful tool. They ran the ball 39 times with Gibbs and Montgomery, and each of them are averaging about 5 yards per carry. They just control the ball. They had 37 minutes of possession. That's so hard for the other team. They held the Cardinals to only 3 points in the second half because once they get a lead, they can just hang on to it because they just hold the ball for so long. They had that beautiful hook and ladder play. Go back and watch that if you didn't see it. It was
beautiful.
Gorgeous play, and Jahmyr Gibbs with the score. Lions are dealing with a decent amount of injuries right now. Davenport and Barnes are 2 big defensive players that they're missing. They just put on IR. I like the Lions here because I don't think the Seahawks have proven anything. I think this is their first real test playing away. I think it's going to be a wake-up call for that undefeated team.
Yeah. I mean, even you mentioned time of possession. Even against Tampa Bay when Detroit lost, they still had 7 minutes more time of possession than Tampa Bay. I agree. At home on Monday night in Detroit, I got a Lions win there. But we do all of our picks here on ESPN. So go ahead and make your account and pick along with us here at Twin Football throughout the entire season. We look to improve our 25-23 record after last week's performance. But we look to keep climbing the rankings, cracking the goal to crack the top 100,000 here in the next couple of weeks. And I think 16-0 this week will definitely get us there. So go ahead and get your picks in there. Thanks for joining us. We got EPL predictions tomorrow. So come back and join us, the Twins, on Twin Football. Have a good one.